Okay. Recording in progress. All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to our class, Find Your Zen Zone, which really, it's a cutesy name for really just working on relieving stress, stress management. Life is stressful, and there's so many different ways to reduce stress, and it's just so important that we have some of those tools in our toolbox for when the need arises. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Nina Cecina, and it's hard for me to introduce myself because I wear so many hats. When I pop my presentation up there, you're going to see the alphabet soup after my name, which really means master's degree in education, certified aromatherapy coach, licensed spiritual healer from a Christian organization, and certified raindrop technique specialist, which is an aromatherapy and acupressure technique. Aside from all of that, I'm also a pastor and a special ed teacher. But when it comes to health and wellness, I call myself a wellness warrior, because super long story short, I almost died of an autoimmune disease 20 years ago, and I had to find some natural remedies to get my health back on track, which I did. I've been in remission for 17 years, praise God. And that really set me on this track for finding anything natural that's going to help my health. And because I've got that teacher deep inside of me, whenever I learn something new, I am compelled to share that with other people. So I'm so glad everybody's here today. This is being recorded, so anybody who's not here in person, I hope you are catching this on a recording. I'm going to put this up on YouTube. For everybody who's here in person, make sure you pop your name and your email down in the chat box so that I can draw a name to pick a winner. I'm going to send you a little goodie in the mail. So I'll reach out to you. If you win, I'll ask you for your mailing address. Let's see. Also, feel free to ask questions during the class. You're welcome to raise your hand and ask a question in person. I'm a teacher. I love being in doing that classroom style thing. If you want to use the chat box, TJ, Tiffany is going to help us just monitor the chat box, because once I screen share, I can't see the questions popping up. So I'll check that periodically. I am going to screen share a PowerPoint, and you're welcome to ask questions and stuff too. So let's see. I've got some notes to make sure I don't forget anything. Let me go ahead and get ready to screen share.
I always forget how many letters you have.
I know, it's so funny. It looks like alphabet soup, and because it's a little of everything. My master's degree is in education, but the other certifications are in, other areas of health and wellness. All right, so, when we start to talk about the effects of stress, it answers the why question, like, why should we be trying to manage stress? Why should we care about this? And obviously, we know how we feel when we're stressed. We don't feel good when we're stressed. And even if you think about just how your body feels when you're stressed, like for me, I get that tension up in my shoulders. I might even get a tension headache. Sometimes I get an upset stomach. Like, you know how you feel when you feel stressed. And medical research is showing that, let me slide my screen over. Medical research estimates as much as 90% of illnesses and disease are stress related. So all of those issues that take us to the doctor's office or even the emergency room, 90% of the time we can connect the dots and realize that that comes from chronic stress. Even when we think about a cold or a flu, right? We get busy, we get stressed, we get run down. That actually affects our immune system. And then bam, we've got whatever flu bug is going around, when that really relates back to being too stressed. So we know that prolonged stress can affect the immune system, cardiovascular health, mental health, the digestive system, sleep, even our weight, Sometimes lack of sleep causes our body to hold on to weight. When we look at different, weight loss studies and stuff, we hear about that. Also, too, feel free to take screenshots or take notes. There's going to be some things you might even want to screenshot or whatever, and that is totally fine. Oh, and skin. I had another bullet point down there. Now, the ABCs are a counseling technique that I learned from my husband, who is also a therapist. And so when we talk about the ABCs, we think of, counselors call this the activating event. I would just say a really stressful situation. Anything that seems really stressful, right? Because that's, sometimes situations cause us an extreme amount of stress, but it's not necessarily the actual stressful event that's causing so much, so many emotions in us, so to speak. So I'm just going to throw out super easy example. I'm sure we can always think of things, think of any situation that's caused you an extreme amount of stress. I'm just going to give an example and say, you know what? I called my friend, my best friend not only did she not answer her phone, she didn't call me back. Right? That's my activating event, because now I've got some extreme emotions about that. I'm drawing my consequence. My emotional consequence is I'm feeling what? I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling left out. I've got all of these emotional consequences from this activating event, but it's not the situation that's causing us the most stress. It's our belief about the situation. So when we dig into that, now I'm going to go, well, why am I so upset that my friend didn't call me back? Why am I sad and mad and left out? And why am I feeling all of this? And when I dig in, if I dig a little bit deeper, maybe even pray about it or meditate on it or whatever, I'm going to find the underlying belief. And maybe I'm so upset about this because maybe my friend's mad at me. I think maybe she's mad at me. I think maybe I did something to make her mad. Maybe she doesn't like me anymore. Maybe she's ghosting me, right? And we start to escalate our thoughts and our beliefs about this situation. And really, a lot of times those beliefs aren't truth. They're, kind of where our mind wanders to. A lot of times those beliefs, we can catch those beliefs when we get to the always and nevers, right? Maybe situation, it's never going to change. It's always going to be this way. I don't have any control over this. And we can catch those, because then what we're going to do is dispute them. We're going to fact check. Really? And it's funny. My husband has taught my son to do this. My son is 20, and I'll say, always something. And my son will go, really, Mom? Always? Because if we can fact check that and go, right, it's never 100%. Then I just found if you can find an exception to that always, or the exception to the never, then we've got to flip the script on that. No, it's not always, but I feel that way. And so if we can dispute that, if I go back to the situation where my friend didn't return my phone call and I'm sad and mad and angry and whatever, my friend doesn't like me, I can dispute that and go, really? Is there any evidence that she's mad at me? Can I introduce an alternate possibility? Maybe, our silly cellular system glitched and she didn't even get my voicemail. Maybe, because this happens to me a lot, maybe the phone didn't ring and it dumped into voicemail and she didn't even know I called. So if we can introduce an alternate scenario to go, well, maybe we can dispute that unrealistic belief. And then we can come to an emerging new emotional consequence. I can give my friend grace and go, maybe she didn't get my call. maybe I should just shoot her a text. Maybe she just got really busy and, I don't need to feel so sad and mad and upset. So we can walk through these ABCs and, use that as a stress management technique when we start to feel overwhelmed with emotion about a certain situation. And now we're gonna shine a light in a place where sometimes we use something to relieve our stress, and it might, it's just one of those things we want to check on. And that's using alcohol to relieve stress, because a lot of times, right, the day goes sideways, or maybe that happens every day. Maybe we're in a very stressful long-term situation. And at the end of the day, we like that glass of wine to take the edge off. And maybe we're even doing that every day. And so I just want to put it out there to go, alcohol to relieve stress might not be the best option every time, because alcohol can contribute to chronic inflammation. And it's just one of those things. It's not up to me. I'm not saying we shouldn't drink wine or how often we should have a drink or whatever. I'm not saying that at all. But what I just want to do is share kind of, like what happens to our body when we drink alcohol, so that everybody can make a mindful decision. When we talk about chronic inflammation, it can actually contribute to autoimmune disease, heart disease, diabetes, chronic pain, and depression. And it's just one of those things where, if chronic inflammation is something you're concerned with, just making mindful choices about how we manage stress. Is alcohol a tool in your toolbox? Maybe that's fine. Maybe you might want to just learn some different tools.
Nina, as far as alcohol, and I think I learned it from Dr. Daniel Amen.
Yes.
I believe he said that the chemical effects, like the brain, how it affects the brain, lasts for up to 4 days, even if you're only having like a little bit of alcohol. The residual effects of like the brain chemistry lasts up to 4 days, and that leads to depression.
Yeah, long term.
And that's why the depression is listed, because of that. So if you have a drink, like even every other day, it's never truly, your brain never gets to flush those chemicals out.
Yeah, that's powerful. Every Wednesday, I do a video on Facebook. I kind of was calling it Wednesday Wellness Live at 5, just to get people to, think of the place and time. But a week ago Wednesday, my husband is a drug and alcohol counselor and a pastoral counselor. And he taught drug and alcohol counseling for like 20 years. And so he did a video with me talking about how and why in really layman's terms, because he does all the high level stuff, but he explained really simply how alcohol causes inflammation. And so you're all welcome to, if you want to be Facebook friends, if you're on social media, if you want to catch my Wednesday videos, you could even scroll back a couple of weeks if you're curious about how a counselor explains how all of that happens. But Tiff, that's a really good way for how Dr. Amen explained that, because I'm a huge fan of Dr. Amen and his wife Tana, who wrote my absolute favorite cookbook, The Omni Diet. Okay, total sidebar. If you love good stuff like that and good nutrition and you're into Dr. Amen, make sure you know who his wife is. So for prayer and meditation,
you say Omni Diet?
Omni Diet, yeah, like omnivore. So it's plants and meats. Her book is called The Omni Diet. She walks through certain foods that cause inflammation, and the whole back end of the book is a cookbook of recipes, and they've been my favorite recipes for like 10 years. So
that's good to know. Thank you.
Absolutely. So prayer and meditation, another tool in our toolbox for reducing stress. And whether we're coming at this from a Christian perspective, which I am, or whether we're coming at it from a more just like universal spiritual mindfulness perspective, totally doesn't matter, because our point is, prayer and meditation in general are going to be really helpful for us. And even when we think about the ABCs and we talk about disputing a belief and being mindful of our thinking about certain situations, there's a verse in the Bible that says, bring every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. And I always just think of that as take every thought captive, take every thought captive. If I'm perseverating on my thoughts, or I'm upset about a situation and I can't quite get it out of my head, take that thought captive, fact check it. Is that true? Is that what I want to meditate on today? Or do I want to cast that aside and say, you know what? I would rather another scripture to focus on. Whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. So again, whether you are someone who studies scripture or not, we can choose to focus on things that are noble and true and pure and lovely, and shift our frame of thought to say, you know what, I could focus on the negative and I could, get stuck in that belief system, or I can fact check that and focus on maybe the more positive aspect of a situation. Now, one of my favorite topics for reducing stress is aromatherapy. And when I started using essential oils for my personal health and wellness, I realized that I was more of a why question person than I realized. I thought more, I think I'm very left brain. I'm more of a scientific thinker, even though I was never into science in school. But because of what I had been through medically, I was more of a skeptic in whether or not something was going to help my health. And so if somebody said, or if I even thought about, oh, I wonder if this is going to help me, I need to know why. If aromatherapy is going to help my emotions, I'm going to say, okay, why? And there is science behind that. And the science for aromatherapy in the brain is in this little picture where we look at the label that got cut off, where it's pointing to that little yellow bulb in the middle. That is the amygdala in the brain, also known as the limbic system. And so when we look at this graphic and we say, here's a person who's smelling a flower, and the scent of that flower goes up through the nose and it travels, we can see how close the olfactory senses are connected to the nasal cavity, connected to the limbic system. And when we talk about essential oils, the oil molecules are so small, they do pass through the blood-brain barrier. So the limbic system, also known as the amygdala, is the storehouse for your emotions. That's where all your emotions live in your brain. And our sense of smell is the only one of our 5 senses that causes us to feel before we think. So when that scent goes up up through our nose, it goes right into that part of the brain where our emotions are. So we can smell something, the oil molecules pass through the blood-brain barrier, and we can immediately be relaxed or energized or whatever we want to feel, depending on what plant we decide to inhale. This is also why our sense of smell will take us back to a memory. Think about a smell that immediately takes you right back to a happy memory. Like for me, that's a certain aroma of spices and tomato sauce in my Italian grandmother's house, because when I smell that combination, I'm immediately back at grandma's house. It's Christmas and she's making Italian food in a split second. Yeah, this is why that happens. When we think of our other four senses, our sight, our touch, our taste, our hearing, all four of those other senses are wired through our prefrontal cortex, our thinking brain. Our sense of smell is wired to our feeling brain, our amygdala. Super interesting and super powerful. So we're going to talk about how smells and aromas can help our emotions.
And fun fact, nearly 75% of our daily emotions are actually evoked by scent. And that's from APA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's high. It's because you're constantly smelling. So,
yeah.
And because it goes directly to your limbic system, it's the only sense that goes directly to your limbic system.
Right.
It has that power, like you were talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, that is cool. I didn't know a percent like that, though. I like fun facts like that. And so when we're talking about aromatherapy in general, we want to make sure we're discerning the difference between pure plant essential oils that come right from a plant, versus other things that just have a scent, like an artificial fragrance, because there is a big difference. So a lot of people, we love scented candles, right? Because we like things that smell good. So I might even think, oh, aromatherapy, I want to smell good. I'm going to light my favorite scented candle. But I'm going to caution you, because when we burn scented candles, most of the time they're a petroleum-based wax, petroleum used to make gasoline. Burning petroleum candles actually will clog our endocrine system. And then we end up with other health issues because of clogged endocrine system. Disrupts our hormones, disrupts our immune system. It'll aggravate our respiratory system. Scented candles contain diethyl phthalate, which I'm not even sure I'm saying that right, but I'm going to sound it out. They cause irritation to the eyes, nose, throat, respiratory system. We're talking about chemically induced scents that are not going to have the same results as a pure essential oil steam distilled from a plant. Scented candles and other scented things. I kind of put candles up there, but this also includes spray air fresheners, plugins, those things that we gravitate towards because they smell good. They're not all good for our health. Anything with an artificial fragrance is derived from harsh chemicals. And a lot of those chemicals.
Nina?
Yes. Oh, was there a question?
Oh, I froze.
Okay. That's okay. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Most of those artificial fragrances cause chemicals that cause cancer. So when we talk about aromatherapy, we want to kind of go away from just the scented stuff and make sure we're going to look at pure steam distilled essential oils. And artificial fragrances can cause cancer and disrupt hormones. So when we talk about essential oils, we want something pure, 100% steam distilled directly from plants. And I'm also going to give a word of caution too when we start reading labels on essential oils. So you might go, okay, I'm not going to grab the scented candle. I'm going to grab some essential oils from the store. And you start reading labels. And a lot of them are going to say 100% pure. A lot of them are going to say all natural, or they're going to say a lot of things. There's no government agency that regulates the labeling of essential oil products. Bam. That's tough to hear, right? Like we want the government agencies, we want the FDAs to protect us. But there's no agency that regulates labeling of essential oils. That means the bottle can say anything and the burden is on the consumer to know what's in the bottle. So I'm going to share some oils with you that I love in a minute that do, you know, they are exactly what we want, because I've done the research on the labels and stuff. But essential oils can support all body systems, including respiratory system, immune system, hormones. We want to make sure that we choose high quality essential oils that are safe for pets and children, because an essential oil that might just be derived for a fragrance purpose, these are the things where we hear an essential oil harmed my kid, or an essential oil harmed my pet. That means it's not a pure essential oil. That means there's synthetic chemicals in the oil. There's artificial fragrance in the oil. That's why we hear so many different pieces of information like out on the internet. And then we end up going like, what do I believe, right? Is it safe or not? Should I use it or not? We're going to talk about, the next screen, here we go. It's going to be my favorite essential oils for stress relief. You're going to notice these are all a specific brand. They're all the Young Living brand. And the reason for that, the reason I stand behind that brand is because I've done the research. I've made sure that they are pure steam distilled from plants. I've made sure they don't have any adulterants or artificial anything in their oils. And I've even visited their farm in person to see their practice and to see their distillery. So when I put my name behind recommending something, I trust it. It's what I use on my, it's the only thing I'll use for my health. And so these are a few, there's little pictures there, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one. These are like my top favorites if we're just talking about relieving stress. Of course, I have other favorites for immune system and respiratory system and stuff like that. But that would be, right? That would be a whole other class. Let's stick to our topic. The little purple bottle in the corner is called Valor. Sometimes we call that the Brave oil. Putting Valor on helps us feel confident because it helps reduce kind of like that nervous energy that we feel sometimes. When I teach this class in person, we take the oils and we pass them around and we put some on, and then we notice how we feel. I love to put a drop of Valor on my wrist and hold my wrists together. And it just kind of calms that nervous kind of overwhelm energy. And it helps me just calm down a bit. I love doing that at night before I go to bed, because it helps me just maybe calm the racing thoughts that I might have about the day, or just help me calm down before I'm ready to go to sleep. The other one on the bottom corner is called Stress Away. Some people call that vacation in a bottle. It's a blend of oils. It has a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of lime. That makes it smell a little bit tropical, but that's just a nice oil for reducing stress. And you can use these oils so many different ways. You can put them in a cool mist diffuser where the water mist just kind of lets the oil go out into the air. You can wear them topically. Sometimes I'll put it on kind of like you put on perfume, a little bit on the wrists, a little bit on the neck, or a little bit on my shoulders. Stress Away is an oil that I'll keep in a roller in my purse for when I'm sitting in traffic. Sometimes we're sitting in gridlock and we start to, have some emotions about that, and we just need to calm down a bit. Stress Away and Valor I put on before I go to the dentist. I don't like going to the dentist. Those are my two sitting in the dental chair oils. I also, because of, again, medical history, a lot of times I'm getting lab work done. Medical trauma is a real thing. Whenever I have to go to the lab and get a blood draw, every cell in my body, your body keeps the score, every cell in my body remembers 20 years ago when I was so sick and the doctor would walk in with bad news. So even though I've been in remission, I've been healed for 17 years, I still get, thank you, praise God. I still get that nervous, antsy energy I do not like sitting in the lab, getting the blood draw, and then waiting until the results come back. I just still don't like it. Still use my oils when I have to go get lab work done. Peace and calming. Need we say more? That oil does exactly what it's named for. It gives us peace. It helps us feel calm. It's a blend of orange and ylang ylang and blue tansy and patchouli. There's these great little blends in some of these oil blends. Lots of little plants get in that bottle. And peace and calming is great for kids at nap time, me at bedtime. When my son had a medical emergency and ended up inpatient in the children's hospital for 15 days, peace and calming was the oil that he wanted on. Every time the nurses came in to change his IV or whatever, that was his oil. And release. Release is our let it go oil. I've got some emotional stuff going on and I need to let it go. Release is going to be your friend for that. And I put on here that little quote is an affirmation that I love to use when I use release oil. How should I use release oil, right? You can put it on topically. You could put it over your heart. You could put it over your liver. Your liver is the organ in your body that processes all the toxins, right? We know what our liver does biologically. Our liver does the same thing to our emotions. Your liver is also the holder honor, right? That's not a word, but I just made it up. Your liver is that little bank of storing those toxic emotions too. So if we want to help our liver release the emotions, you could put a couple of drops of oil on your hand, rub it over your liver, and here's what you can say. You could pray over it. You could make your own affirmation of just releasing, but you could also say, I lovingly and willingly release and let go of all that no longer serves me in a positive, productive way. It's a great affirmation to use with this oil. And I do see some little pings up in the chat box. TJ, do you want to check on that and see if there's any questions I can answer for anybody?
There's no questions.
Okay.
I've been typing in like some of the resources that you've mentioned, like the Omni Diet book and things like that.
Thank you.
Aurea said that she uses Valor, and it's been her go-to for those last few months. And I asked her like how she's been using it. And she said she puts it on like perfume, and she uses it when I need to remember I got this and I can overcome.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Aurea. This is your I got this oil.
Yeah. I also want to share that the NIH, UCLA, and several other hospitals are recognizing aromatherapy. However, UCLA will only use Young Living oils, and many hospitals will only use Young Living oils, but they won't necessarily say that. But you know it's Young Living because of the names, right? So Panaway, yeah, is one of them. That's a Young Living like blend. So like for us that use Young Living, we're like, but that's Young Living.
Right, so I know that name. Yeah,
it's really cool because they're using it for inpatient care to help with pain management, stress management, and essentially like bringing up like the positive and calm feelings.
That's fantastic. And you know what else too? Quite a while back, a few years ago, there was an article that you could find online that was from UCLA and their use of Young Living oils. And then the article disappeared. You cannot find that article online anymore. So it's really interesting that I love that, you know, we're learning that the medical centers are doing this, but there's still, you know, those powers that be that are trying to shut down the fact that that's going on. And that article about UCLA was no longer, like, it's not online anymore. So let's keep digging and keep finding that research and keep sharing it because it's so powerful and it's so important. Another one of my favorite aromatherapy tools is something we call the 60-second reset. And we do this with oils. There's 3 oils that we use in combination to do this little, it's like a little protocol. The 3 oils, they're going to be on the screen, but I'll go ahead and tell them to you first. It's lavender, frankincense, and stress away together. So like if you had those oils, you could put a drop each in your hand. Usually what I do is I make a blend. I just put equal parts in a little bottle. That way I just have to drip it out and I've got a drop of this little blend. But this is a technique that was designed by a psychologist. His name is Dr. Benjamin Purkis. His book is called Aroma Freedom Technique. So I don't want to lay claim to this. I want to give credit where credit's due. He developed this technique that he calls the 60-second reset. This is one of those times where you feel like you're either about to lose it or you've already lost it and you need to regain your composure really quick. I've got 1 minute, like I need to get myself in check. And so he walks through this little five-step protocol where he goes, number 1, identify the situation. So like, what is it that just made you, fly off the handle? So we just identify, like I got cut off in the Walmart parking lot. Number 2, name the feeling word. Sometimes this is hard, right? Thoughts versus feelings, but we need to pick a feeling word. Frustrated, aggravated, angry, overwhelmed, maybe a situation that might have even caused us shame. Okay, so pick a feeling word. Number 3 is locate the feeling in your body. Somewhere in your body, you're going to feel a sensation. It might be a heaviness in your chest. It might be a pit of your stomach. It might be tension in your shoulders. Check in with yourself and see where you're feeling that sensation. Number 4 is identify the negative thought associated with the feeling and situation. Identify a negative thought. So if I go back to my Walmart parking lot, right? I'm angry. I'm feeling, maybe I'm feeling a tightness in my muscles or a tightness in my shoulders. What negative thought? Like, I wish I could ram into that person with my car, whatever that is. If we get so worked up, we're going to have a negative thought about it. Or maybe it might even be like, I'm never coming to Walmart ever again because this is just insane. Now, number 5 is we're going to inhale the essential oil blend. So we're going to put those oils, put a little drop in the palm of our hand. When we inhale oils, we're going to kind of roll our hands together. That actually kind of gets those molecules spinning. And then we're just going to cup our hands over our nose, just kind of like this. And we're going to inhale and take a few to many, right, up to a minute. Inhale deep through your cupped hands and just inhale the scent, the aroma of the oils. Again, when I do this class in person, we do this together. And I always ask everybody after a few deep breaths, what are you noticing? And after about maybe 20 to 30 seconds, most people will say, I feel more calm. I feel a shift. One gal in my class, when I taught this last weekend, she was sitting in my room and she goes, the situation that I had in mind, she goes, it feels further away. And I thought that was a great way to describe that, because a lot of times, we feel like whatever's happening is like right here in front of our face. Like I can't see past this situation. And what this 60-second reset does is it takes that situation from here to here. And now I can put that in perspective. I can see around it. I can see that it's still there, but it's not the most important thing in front of my face anymore. I can start to, let that go. When we talk about releasing emotions and even releasing emotional trauma with aromatherapy and with essential oils. It's like, I can't promise you that releasing that trauma is going to give you pleasant amnesia, right? Like you're not going to forget about it completely, but it helps your body and mind and spirit put that where it belongs. Maybe that's in the past. Maybe that's just getting some distance so that we can move on and we can move past something difficult. And as we're breathing, we breathe into the situation, breathe into that feeling, breathe into the word, breathe into the sensation that we're feeling in our body. And we do that for up to a minute. And then we notice, we're going to notice something. I'll leave that on for another second. If anybody's taking notes, again, you're welcome to take a screenshot of that. If you want to pop back to a replay and grab a screenshot too, you can do that. Another great way of relieving stress is what's called forest bathing. There's actually a Japanese word for forest bathing called shinrin-yoku, which means to go out in the forest and spend time among the trees, among nature, among God's creation. And we know how we feel when we do that. Who loves just being out in nature or hiking or just whether that's hiking or gardening or just being outside? We know how our body feels. The cool thing is there's some Japanese scientists that did the science to prove that that's true. Again, now I love the science and I love the research, right? They proved that forest bathing, being out in the forest, lowers cortisol and adrenaline. It suppresses the fight or flight system, the sympathetic nervous system. It enhances the rest and recover system, the parasympathetic system. It lowers blood pressure and increases heart rate variability. That's that ability from your heart rate to go from, higher back down to lower so that it doesn't, stay up too long. So, but if you can't get out into a forest, you can grab some tree oils. And they also proved that diffusing tree oils, essential oils, through a diffuser in your room can also have many of the same benefits for relieving stress, for enhancing your immune system, and all of those great things that being out in nature can do. So you could grab pine oil, spruce oil. Hinoki oil is the Japanese cypress that's so prevalent in these forest bathing studies. Japanese cypress is so, all over Japan. And hinoki is the oil that it's called that, because I didn't know what hinoki oil was. And then it was, that's the Japanese cypress. And that's why they did all these studies. So, but again, any tree oil, cedar wood, any tree you like. Exercise is so good for relieving stress. I don't know who this lady is. I found her picture online and I love that she was an older lady with boxing gloves on. So I'm like, yes, you go, lady. Exercise pumps your endorphins, the feel-good chemicals in your brain. It reduces the negative effects of stress on your body system and organs. It's like a meditation in motion because you concentrate on your body movements. And this is huge for me because of my love of martial arts. I have a black belt in Shaolin Kung Fu, and I also studied Tai Chi. And it sounds really crazy when I talk about, all the different things I love about Kung Fu. I loved sparring, which sounds really weird. Yes, I love putting on gloves and a mouth guard and punching and kicking people. No,
that doesn't sound weird. I did MMA.
All right, good. Right? But what I loved wasn't getting punched and kicked. What I loved was the fact that when we started sparring for that short amount of time, a lot of times it was only like 30 seconds in that short session, for that short amount of time, there was no space in my mind for anything other than block everything, punch and kick, don't get hit. Whatever stress I had from the day, whatever my kid did at school, whatever homework I had to help him with, whatever mess I was going to come home to, in the kitchen, washing dishes after my training session, whatever was on my mind had to get pushed into the background so that I could solely focus on my sparring session, or even when we did forms in Kung Fu, if I was learning a new form, I had to focus so intently that everything else faded away. And my encouragement is find that experience for yourself. Wouldn't have to be martial arts, right? Or even some kind of exercise. Something, it could be knitting, it could be dance, it could be anything that occupies your mind so fully that whatever you might be stressed about has to leave your mind. I taught this class last week and I had a friend say, we live out in the country. She goes, I love going out and stacking wood. And she's 72 years old. She loves getting out on her property and stacking up her cords of wood for her wood burning stove. She goes, it's just relaxing to me. And also it's the smell of the wood and the focus that she had to put on stacking the wood correctly. Because if you're going to stack wood, you can't just throw it in a heap, right? It'll fall over. So it's, our generation thinks Tetris, right? You have to put all the blocks in a certain arrangement. For her, that is like a perfect, mind relaxing activity. She goes, I don't want people to help me with it. I don't want anybody to talk to me while I'm doing it. I told her, I go, you found your Zen zone. That's your Zen zone. We can joke about the word Zen and whether we're talking about, Buddhist chanting or whatever. It was, more of a play on words. But when we think of just that thing that causes our mind to totally focus and relax at the same time, for me, I call that Zen zone. Exercise also just helps improve our mood and helps us relax. And I had another friend share this tidbit with me recently that I did not know, that moving and stretching your muscles helps release the cortisol that's stored in your muscles, because stress causes our cortisol levels to go up, and that cortisol gets stored in muscles. So the more we stretch, different kinds of stretching, different body parts, you're releasing that cortisol so that it's not staying in your body and causing other negative effects.
There's actually a very recent finding where they essentially are theorizing that the muscles are part of your endocrine system. So what you're saying would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That if that's true. So when they were doing their finding, they were like, it has to be because it's doing all of these things. And they're like, this is like the finding of the century. And they're like super excited about it. And I don't totally get why that's so exciting, but I thought it was really interesting when you were bringing that up. And I'm like, oh, well, this makes sense. So they're doing stuff about like just stretching, not even like exercise, how we would think of it. But yeah, moving your muscles, it seems to be part of your endocrine system now.
Interesting. Yeah, I love learning stuff like that because it always points out the fact that all of our body parts are integrated. Western medicine likes to separate everything, right? And we have ologists for every different body part. But the more we look at how everything is integrated, like our mental health and our physical health and our organs and our body systems, like all of that works together. We really can't separate one thing from another. Now, one of my favorite topics too is food and supplements. Why I love that Omni diet book so much is it's all about food. One of my favorite supplements, which is from a food, and this little graphic up here is the Ningxia Red Juice. Again, this is a product from Young Living. It's a supplement, but it's a food-based supplement. If you've ever heard of goji berries, they're used in traditional Chinese medicine. They've been used for thousands of years for so many different health things. And so we have this juice supplement that's goji berry puree. Sometimes we call it a wolfberry, same as a goji berry. The Ningxia wolfberry is pureed into this juice. Tiffany's going to show and tell her juice packet she just drank. But here's the cool thing. Again, science nerd brain goes, yes, clinical trial. They did a clinical trial on this juice, and drinking 2 ounces daily, here's what was found. There was an increase in physical energy levels by 34.5% and a reduction in physical limitations by 36%. It reduced everyday stress by 23% and improved mental well-being. It increased productivity by 37.9%, and it improved sleep patterns and increased time asleep by an average of 21 minutes when they did the sleep study. And the people who did not consume the Ningxia Red Juice were more than 5 times more likely to develop, there was a typo there, sorry, severe respiratory symptoms than the Ningxia Red group. And so during the study, some people got a cold or got sick, and the control group people that were not drinking the juice stayed sick longer than the people who were drinking the juice. Their length of illness was shortened. So it shows what a great support it is for your immune system. So overall supplements, like if I had to pick one supplement and say, what's going to be the most comprehensive, what's going to help my stress level, the Ningxia Red Juice is definitely at the top of my list. But there's also other foods and supplements that are helpful for reducing stress. So matcha green tea is high in L-theanine, which is great for managing stress. Swiss chard is high in magnesium. Magnesium is great at reducing stress. So, Swiss chard, yes, if you're looking at supplements, if you take a magnesium supplement, that's also excellent. Sweet potatoes help to lower cortisol. And kimchi helps in probiotics in the gut, which helps mood. There's that gut-brain connection that we didn't really even mention, that the probiotics, your gut is responsible for so much of your neurotransmitter stuff. All those feel-good chemicals derive in your gut. So if you want to support your mental health, if you want to support your serotonin and your neurotransmitters, supporting your gut is really important. We can do that. One of the ways we can do that is with fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut or kombucha or any of those fermented things that we might be familiar with. Ooh, let's see, we're hitting the hour mark. I want to make sure that I don't take up too much of your day, but we've got a couple of things left. And one of them is the emotional freedom technique. You might have heard of EFT or tapping. It's similar to acupuncture. EFT focuses on meridian points or energy hotspots to restore balance to your body's energy. It's believed that restoring this energy balance can relieve symptoms a negative experience or emotion may have caused. So again, this is a tool in the toolbox. If you've got an emotion that's kind of bothering you, this tapping technique can be helpful. Here are the steps. So first, we're going to identify the issue. Again, whatever that issue might be. Then we're going to rate that issue on a scale of 0 to 10. You might even might have been something that happened during the day, something at work, and we're having all of these, emotions we're having a hard time overcoming. We might even scale that as an 8 or a 9 or a 10. Then we're going to create an affirmation. And we're going to say, even though I have this, whatever, even though I have this anxiety, even though I have this overwhelm. Some people will even use this for a pain issue. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. We're going to use that affirmation and we're going to say it repeatedly while we do this tapping exercise. You can say it to yourself. You can say it out loud, whatever you're comfortable with. Then we're going to do the tapping sequence. Then we're going to rate that issue again on that scale of 0 to 10. What we're expecting to see is if we were at an 8 or a 9 in the beginning, maybe we're going to be down to a 1 or a 2 or a 3 after we do this tapping sequence. The next screen is going to show the tapping sequence. The tapping sequence looks like this, and it's numbered. We're going to tap and follow the numbers. I'm going to take off my glasses because some of the taps are kind of on the face area. And we're going to say the affirmation while we tap. Number 1 is called the karate chop. There's a pressure point on the side of the hand, and the tap karate chop looks like this. So we're going to tap while we say the affirmation. Even though I have this shoulder pain, that actually is my issue, I deeply and, what was it? Hang on. Let me make sure I say it right. Hang on.
Deeply and completely
love myself. Thank you. It escaped me for a minute. Even though I have the shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. Now we're going to go to number 2, the eyebrow, right here. Tap, tap, tap. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. Side of the eye, like the temple. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. Under the eye, just kind of like at the top of the cheekbone. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. Under the nose, we could just do a 1 hand here. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. Number 6 on the chin. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. Top of the collarbone right here. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. Under the arm is right here by your armpit. You could either cross your hands or you could tap with your thumb. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. The last one is top of the head. Even though I have this shoulder pain, I deeply and completely love myself. And then we could rate that again. You know, if you were feeling like a high score at the beginning, now that we've gone through this sequence, it's going to be lower. If it's not as low as you want it to be, and you're still feeling a little bit overwhelmed with your emotion, you could go through the sequence again. At points in the past few months, I'm actually rehabbing a frozen shoulder. At points throughout the past couple of months, I was overwhelmed with frustration about my shoulder pain. I should have, I hadn't thought of it at a time a few months ago. This probably would have helped me at least put my emotions in check when I was feeling really upset and discouraged about my shoulder situation. But again, we can use this for anything. Even for those situations when we talked about the 60-second reset with the essential oils, you could use that, or you could do tapping. You know, what's easier for you? What do you prefer? One might work better than the other. One might be more easy in any moment, where I've got my oils and I've only got a minute, versus I've got a few minutes, I'm going to do the tapping sequence. These little graphics are available online too. I just found this on Google by Googling EFT tapping, and you can find images. I mean, you're welcome to screenshot this I could even attach it to you if you'd like me to email it to you or something. You could drop a comment in the chat. But if you just Google EFT tapping, you can find the sequence really quick. You can find these graphics that show all of the tapping points. And the last thing we're going to do today together, I'm so excited, is a Tai Chi breathing exercise. We know that deep breathing in general can be really helpful for just relaxing. Because I've done so much with martial arts and Tai Chi, I really enjoy doing the Tai Chi breathing exercise. Some people call it Qigong when you move and breathe at the same time. My Kung Fu teacher always just said Tai Chi breathing. There's many different Tai Chi breathing sequences. I'm going to show you one that's my favorite. So I am going to reposition my camera and myself so that I can stand up. I'm actually going to turn our screen share off so that I can full screen and show you like a demonstration, because I'm going to go ahead and stand up to do this. Typically we do it standing. If you're sitting down, because it is just arm movements, if you're sitting down and you just want to do the arms with me, you can. If you want to stand up and do it standing, that's totally cool. So give me a second. I'm going to turn our screen share off. All right. And let's see, I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to move back a bit. Hopefully I don't have lights glaring in the background. Right. I think if I stand back here. Okay. So I'm just going to start by just swinging my arms back and forth a little bit. That actually, like, if you're like me and you hold tension up in your shoulders, I'll be just during my day, I'll realize for a moment that I'm just like tightening my shoulders and I have to just like drop my shoulders down a little bit. So just swinging your arms back and forth, you can bring your arms up and then just dead weight drop them. This is actually one of my shoulder exercises I do just to relax. So our breathing exercise, I'm going to stand, my feet are about shoulder distance apart. I'm not going to lock my knees. I'm just going to relax my knees a little bit. And with each inhale and exhale, I'm going to do an arm movement. So I'm going to talk us through it. And when we get to the point where we kind of have our fingers locked, I can't bring my arms up as high as they're supposed to go because my left shoulder is a little bit stiff. But when we do that, you can bring your arms up above your head like this, kind of like eye distance here. When we get there, you're going to do it with both hands. I'm not going to be able to because of my shoulder. So, all right, yeah, like that, like Tiffany's doing. If you can, you're going to stretch your arms way up high. All right, but here's our first movement. We're going to inhale and float your arms up in front, just kind of at the shoulders, kind of straight out. And exhale, float them down. Just relax elbow, relax wrist. Now you're going to palms up to the side, inhale. Right here, stop at the shoulder. Exhale, make a diamond with your hands. Make a diamond with your forefinger and thumb. Exhale, bring your hands down. Now you're going to interlace your fingers, palms up. Inhale, just to the chest. Flip them over. Exhale, push it down. Keep your fingers locked and your palms down. Inhale. Bring that up above your head. Flip your palms up. Hold your breath right here. Push your hands out, in, out. Exhale, float them down at your side. Inhale, float them up. Exhale, float them down. Good. That was one rep of that breathing exercise. Let's do it one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Palms out. Inhale. Exhale. Lace your fingers. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale all the way up. Hold your breath, push out, in, out, exhale. Inhale. How does everybody feel after doing that? Feels pretty good, right?
I really like that one.
I
It
like
makes
that
me
one
just
too.
like you just like sink into it, or at least I do.
Yeah, exactly. And it does give us that, like we were talking about before with exercise and focusing your mind and relaxing, the breathing with the moving does give you that. Where if I focus on the movement, I can't think about my grocery shopping list or the dirty dishes or whatever else might be occupying space in my mind, right? Some of the other breathing exercises that I learned for Tai Chi are even a little more involved, that take a little more thinking, that also, does that for me. I'm one of those people, maybe I multitask too much. I feel like I sometimes have too much on my mind. And even as I'm moving, I'm thinking other things. And I have to try to go like, no, I need to stay in the moment. I'm relaxing and I'm going to do this, do this moving meditation. Sometimes people would even call it. But that is, let's see, that's the end of that was the last slide.
Thank you so much, Nina. This was amazing.
You're welcome. I'm curious if anybody just wants to say, or if you want to pop it in the chat, like what did you find most helpful? What tools do you think you'll add to your toolbox? Is there something you're excited to try? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm going to take a peek at the chat and see if anybody wants to, just kind of put that out there and go.
Yeah, I want to try the tapping. I love the tapping. I love the relaxation exercises that you just did. And I also want to get that book. That book sounds amazing. Because I want to change my diet and, eat more like foods that will give me energy instead of foods that are draining my energy,
Right.
And also the aroma. I want to get some of those. I mean, that just sounds amazing. I think it's really.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, Christine, thanks for bringing up, just kind of that issue about food and wanting to shift things to feel better. Because I forgot to mention it when we were talking about foods and that Ningxia red juice. There's a protocol that we can do with that. And it's something that anybody can join up and team up with me on. And it's called the 11-day jumpstart. It's an anti-inflammatory protocol where we put together, I call them puzzle pieces, where we pair the Ningxia red juice, which is very anti-inflammatory. We pair that with drinking water, exercise, and intermittent fast, and food that reduces inflammation. There's even recipes included, like a little food protocol. We put that all together and we do it for 11 days. And it reduces inflammation in our body so much that we end up feeling better energy because we've taken food out of our diet that might be, causing inflammation and causing us to not feel well. A lot of people do drop a few pounds if that's what their body needs to do. It can reduce pain. I noticed the last time I did it, the pain I was struggling with in my frozen shoulder was significantly reduced. In that 11 days, I turned a corner in having almost no pain and starting to gain back movement in my shoulder. So it's really powerful. I could share some information. I've got some little like PDF handout type things that I can share with you if it's something you might be interested in trying.
Yeah, I might be interested in trying that.
Yeah, I'll share some info with you. Yeah, Tiffany, did you wanna jump on and say something?
Oh, I was gonna say I'm interested in that too.
Yeah,
it sounds
wonderful. Yeah, definitely. I'll get some information to you. I've got your email. If you put email down in the chat, I've got your email and we can keep in touch. And just, I want to thank you guys for coming. Please do feel free to keep in touch. I am so easy to find on social media or email. You're welcome to friend me on Facebook. I use my name instead of, I used to be called Black Belt Oil Hippie on, on Instagram, but then I realized, well, nobody knows me. I want them to know my name. So you can look me up on Facebook, Instagram. I also do have a YouTube channel where this will get uploaded, and I've got other classes and other videos uploaded. And you're just welcome to keep in touch and reach out. I'll reach out to you through email so that you'll have my, so.
Leslie also says, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And if you are interested in oils or any Ningxia juice or anything, I can help you with that. Tiffany can help you with that. We'll keep you in the loop with everything. So thank you so much for coming. I super appreciate it. I've got everybody's name. I'm going to do a little drawing and then I'll email you and we'll keep in touch. So,
and do you have our emails?
If you put it, did you put it in the chat?
No, I guess I need to.
Oh, yes, please do. That way, if I do the drawing, I'm going to pick a name and I'll reach out to you through email to get your mailing address so that I can drop a little goodie in the mail for you. Yeah, perfect.
Got you.
All right, good. Well, thank you, everybody. If anybody asked a question, let's see. Let me check our chat. I don't think we had any.
I didn't see any, but if you guys, if this is the time, it's open questions if you had any.
Definitely.
I have a question. I saw in Amazon they sell those products. Will you suggest buying through them, or is there a special channel that you guys buy through?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, I recommend that you not purchase Young Living products through Amazon. Young Living doesn't allow their products to be sold on Amazon. So the people doing that are either breaking policy or they're selling you a product might not be from Young Living. So Young Living won't stand behind products sold from Amazon. It's too easy to put something fake in a bottle and put a cap on top.
I can send you guys a link,
yes,
like a secure link for you guys. That way you can get whatever it is that you guys are looking to get.
Yeah, and also too, the benefit for purchasing from one of our referral Young Living links is there's a 10% off coupon code. So any new customer actually take advantage of a 10% off, and you wouldn't have that available if you purchase through another website or anything. So yeah, definitely. Good. Well, thank you, everybody. It was so good to see everybody jump on, and I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to keeping in touch. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. It was very informative. Thank you
so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nina.
You're welcome.
I love when you teach. I love. Thank you.
And we're going to do this. I'm going to try to do this every month, different topic. So I'll keep everybody in loop with the next Zoom class. And because that's kind of how this happened. We were doing Zoom classes like this during COVID. We were calling it, what were we calling it?
Something academy.
Like pandemic university or something.
Yeah.
We were doing all these different topics. And when we stopped, a few of our friends were like, hey, I missed that. Why don't, can't we do that again? And so I'm going to try to do a different topic every month, probably in the same time frame because we've got people in different time zones. It might be afternoon for some folks, but I'll keep you guys in the loop. We're going to try to do a little bit more education on Zoom. So again, thank you so much. I don't want to take any more time on your Saturday, but you guys have an awesome weekend.
You too. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.